We are being beamed right around the world, courtesy of our broadcast partners, TV1. Hope you enjoy this race one. You know, this circuit, something that we've noticed throughout the qualifying and the shootout, will reward the courageous. And our commentator, Daryl Beattie, has been checking out some of those crunch corners.
This left-right-hand sequence here leading onto the front straightaway is definitely one of the toughest on this circuit. The drivers come down here, fifth gear, reaching 200 kilometres an hour. And as we saw David Bernard in the shootout, it can keep the best very busy.
He certainly had his hands full there, didn't he, David Bernard? The way he took that corner was not only spectacular, but, well, pretty scary, pretty much. He managed to hold on to it, but couldn't hold on to pole position because Mark Scaife will start from number one, a 57.167. Bernard will be alongside him as we take a look at the Nintendo GameCube starting grid. Murphy in third, Marcus Ambrose in fourth. Then it's Jason Bright and Todd Kelly. Stephen Richards will be alongside Bradley Jones to make up the 8.
Rounding out the top 10, the two better electrical Fords, Tony Longhurst and Max Wilson. Rick Kelly in the Holden Young Lions Commodore and Lowndes alongside him. Tander did well to claw his way up to 13th. Larry Perkins, John Bauer and Rodney Forbes.
That's Forbes' best qualifying start of the season. Russell Ingall back in 17th. Johnson and Radisich continue the bad run for the Shell Helix team. 21 through to 24 is Ellery, Craig Baird, Jason Richards. There's Team Kiwi at 23. 24 is Paul Wheel. Now down to the back rows of the grid. Tratt, Faulkner, Neil Crompton in 27. Glenn Seaton is having a shocker so far in 28. Our last round winner, Jason Bargwanna, will have to work his way through the field. Dean Canto has the drive now for the Cat Racing Ford, car number 600. We understand, though, that Jason Richards has already had some problems. Rusty?
Certainly has, guys. The team worked on that car until the very last second before Jason had to move off on the warm-up lap. He felt the steering had some play in it, so they've adjusted it. Hopefully that's given him the confidence back in the car. Very quickly, the temperature feels cooler than in the shootout. 70 degrees ambient, 22 on track. Watch on the first two laps. It could be interesting on cold tyres.
Yeah, it sure will. There's Russell Ingall, the enforcer, having his second last drive with Castrol Perkins Racing. Still not able to reveal where he's going in 2003.
We'll know at the end of Sandown after our last round. Stephen Ellery on board the Super Cheap Auto Racing car number 31. These are our in-car cameras for this afternoon's race. Marcus Ambrose, he will start from position number 4, the PIRTEK Ford Falcon, behind his teammate of David Bernard. Of course, cameras throughout Mark Scaife's car as well. About 6 or 7 cars will have in-car cameras. Here we go. The V8 International, the Boost prepaid mobile race is about to get underway. The power down once again from Scaife. It looks pretty even. Bernard will slot into second position. Around to turn 1 they go. Scaife leads the way, but Bernard hangs on to the outside. Then Greg Murphy slots in as well. We've got some trouble at the back.
Everyone trying to squeeze through that first, second and third corner shuffle. Mark Scaife, though, leads him out the back.
Oh, no, Paul Radisich, one of the Kiwis, has gone, and he didn't even make the first turn.
Well, you can see plenty of dust and dirt and drama going on further back in the pack.
Gee, I hope he's all right, because he has hit a part of the wall there where there is no tyre barriers. He's gone slamming in, and his teammate, Stephen Johnson, they were side by side on the grid. Cars 17 and 18 started from 19 and 20. Look at him talking to the rat, making sure that he's okay. Dick Johnson, can't believe it again.
Team boss Dean Orr there too. Let's have a listen.
Oh, wow. They're just making sure that Radisich is okay here and just checking out the feeling throughout his right hand.
Safety car is on the circuit. The Monroe safety car comes out to calm this field down. Leads them around while they get this carnage sorted out. But if the Shell team is having a bad year, it's gone to a shocker now. Both cars out at turn 1.
That was at the 7th last row of the grid. They started, as I mentioned, next to each other in positions 19 and 20. Now, Radisich has ended up on the left-hand side of the track, and Johnson has ended up with a mess to the front of his car as well. So there's the damage. That's on his left. Somehow they've come together, and one of them's come off a lot worse than the other. Paul Radisich is about to climb out of the car.
That is the worst possible scenario. I remember many years back seeing the two Coca-Cola Commodores of Wayne Gardner Racing. Crompton and Gardner going out at turn 1, both flying off into the fence. Now We've seen it again. Terrible moment for the Shell team. Looks like the drivers are okay. Safety car is on the circuit, but the two Shell Fords, well, maybe they can fix up Johnson's car, but RADISICH is out.
I tell you, the amount of times that we've seen that damage to that car number 17, about 3 or 4 rounds he's copped the trouble. Now this is the replay of the start, so basically Mark Scaife got off to a good one. In fact, the first 4 all were pretty clean throughout there. Now here they come. That was the 2 Shell HELIX cars shooting out of screen.
They were side by side as they came up toward turn 1. Nintendo replay on board the Murphy Mobile.
Bernard hanging out wide there, making sure that there was no contact with anyone throughout turn 1. You can only deduce from that, given that there's no other carnage to any other cars, they've both run into each other. They were side by side. The damage on the left-hand side, Stephen Johnson's, is pretty bad, but the damage to the other side of poor RADISICH is even worse. Cars 17 and 18 collide. They have cleared Paul RADISICH's car off the side of the track. Stephen Johnson's car number 17 is in the garage, so both DJR cars are out of this race. Can you believe it? We are now down to 34 starters. The Munro safety car will pull away at the end of this corner. There's your race analysis. Make that 30 starters. We started with 32, 2 are out of the equation. We've got 36 laps in total, around about 100 Ks. The pit window is open at 2, closes at 26, and of course, our defending champion here is the Kiwi Greg Murphy. Rusty?
Guys, I can tell you the officials are looking into a matter here about an allegation of a possible pass under safety car involving Russell Ingall. They have addressed one pass. It was apparently on 2 cars. They've readdressed the matter with Garth Tander, but HRT aren't too pleased at the moment because they didn't readdress the one, according to them, involving Rick Kelly.
Hear more about that one. The restart is underway. Everybody is clean throughout the first couple of turns. We get ourselves a good look at this track under race conditions now. This is lap 7 now at 36 because we had to burn off a few under those safety car conditions. Look at the speed down the back straight, 270 an hour. Scaife leading Bernard, then it's Murphy, Ambrose, Jason Bright, Todd Kelly is there. Stephen Richards is the best of the Castrolls, back to first gear.
As we've seen so many times in V8 supercar racing this year, the pressure on the pit crew is enormous. They can win and lose a race for their drivers. And this crew, Kmart, have been the absolute sensations of pit lane this year. Very, very quick turnaround times, often move their driver up 2 or 3 places. And that could make or break their man in this race this afternoon. Down through turn 1, incredibly quick corner, 250 Ks on the approach. 57.96 for Scaife, his first flying lap. Keep in mind they started or restarted the race under a safety car with a rolling start. So 57.96, very quick time from Scaife. The car's already choosing to come in now as the pit window for the compulsory tyre change open on lap 2.
Some of the cars that are in there, Jason Richards' car number 5 is Glenn Seaton. Just saw a wheel nut go flying off towards the bottom of our screen. Don't know where that came from. Larry Perkins is in. So on lap 8 of 36, they're starting to make their move. Oh, a little bit of a traffic jam between McConville and Richards.
Well, the rule is that whoever is in the fast lane, that is to the most extreme lane away from the work area, has right of way. So any car merging out there has to give way, and you can quite often see a bit of elbowing as drivers try and fight because it's so critical. It's so hard to overtake in V8 supercar racing. If you can pick up one position in pit lane, it's a massive gain.
Something else to watch out for is that blend line. Remember Canberra when Craig Lowndes got pinged for going across the yellow line as he left pit lane. Here's David Bernard coming in. That yellow line that takes you out of pit lane will be patrolled heavily by the stewards and the judges of fact down there. They're not allowed to cross it.
Mark Scaife has just set a new lap record, a 57.45. It was belonging to Todd Kelly, a 57.69. He set that last year in the Kmart Commodore. That's already toppled to Scaife, and problems here with one of the air guns, Stone Brothers team, and once again
time, Dave, watch the pit lane exit.
A problem there has cost them bulk time. 16 seconds that car was stationary.
That's interesting, the way that everyone has been watching what other cars are up to on the track. Several drivers elected to wait while David did his stop then, rather than filing into pit lane, Mark, and getting caught in a traffic jam.
Oh, this is Cameron McConville, and a bit of a barbecue going on underneath the lid of car number 3. That appears to be at the end of the main straight. Or did he get further around than that? So the thing has just cooked itself right there. Oh, that's on the way in, is it? That's on the way in. On the way out of pit lane.
Just coming out of pit lane, he's pulled it over to the side near the Armco there.
Yeah, just before the bridge. So he came in to complete his pit stop and got caught up in a little bit of traffic with Jason Richards, and now he's just sitting there smoking at the end of it. Mark Scaife now tangles around with Max Wilson in car number 65. Love to know what's happened with McComble's car, Rusty.
Just waiting for Mark Scaife to come in here. We are standing by at the Holden Racing team for this stop with McComble. His pit stop was completed, and while he was trundling down pit lane at 40 kilometres an hour, it started to smoke. There was smoke coming out both exhaust pipes in that car. We'll try and have a word to him as he wanders back up pit lane.
Critical stop. Mark Scaife trundles down pit lane, long pit lane here. We'll listen to the radio messages. As Mark Scaife comes down, you can see there's not much else for a driver to do. 40 kilometre an hour speed limiter engaged on the car. He just sit there and wait until he trundles down to his pit lane. Here they are right at the end. Rusty.
Well, Scaife's in, guys, and we're waiting on Greg Murphy apparently coming in this lap in car 51, so we'll have to just wait and see who gets the... Go! Great stop by the Holden Racing team, and Scaife out very quickly.
Another quick one from HRT, and you heard Jeff Grech pull right over. Make sure you get right onto the left-hand side of that pit lane. Now he comes flying back out to rejoin the race. The lights are on. It's actually getting quite dark here at Pukekohe, and behind him, Stephen Richards comes out as well. So on lap 11 of 36, another crucial and critical pit stop. Can the Kmart team match it?
This is the one to watch. Greg Murphy trying to put in some quick laps while Scaife came in. Kmart team well drilled. And that's a good second, almost a second faster than the Holden Racing team. So once again, the Kmart team delivering for their New Zealand driver, Greg Murphy.
And you also heard him say, remember the long exit in pit lane. He's talking about that blend line. Make sure you stay inside it. Now we'll keep track of where Mark Scaife is, and then we'll see where Greg Murphy comes out. Scaife comes around the final turn, which is turn 7. Murphy is now coming out of pit lane. It's a drag race straight down. Scaife goes flying past, and Murphy slots into P2.
Well, that's what Mark Scaife wanted to see. When we say P2, that's P2 in terms of cars that have made their compulsory stops. These guys are, in terms of track position, a long way down the order, but they will be the first of the cars in the queue to have made their compulsory tyre stop. Here comes Marcus Ambrose. Quickest lap was a 57.7. He set that on the lap prior to his stop. So he's really had his head down and the throttle down to try and make as much track position as he can while these guys have been getting their stops done.
Yeah, good pit stop for Todd Kelly there, but unfortunately he's battling out there at the moment after contact in the opening lap with Jason Bright. His steering wheel is at about a 15-degree angle. No time to change it, of course, in these pit stops, but this is one of the most well-rehearsed teams of the lot.
Oh, man, I can tell you the Stone Brothers racing team also put in a good one. Did he get out in front of Bright? Yes, he did.
And so did Kelly.
And there goes Kelly. Now, there goes Scaife. And Murphy will be behind him, so Ambrose slots in, then it's Kelly, and then Jason Bright. They're all very evenly matched, aren't they? They've all been right on the money in those pit stops.
Race leader now is Craig Lowndes. The overlap on the Double O Motorsport car will be interesting, because he's stayed out there. 58.4, his fastest lap so far. That was set on lap 12, so he hasn't been doing quick enough times at the moment to make or take advantage of that clear track. Whoa, David Bernard, 4 wheels and more right off on the grass through the Ford Mountain. He's still fighting it as he goes under the bridge.
Well, he made it, we can tell you that much. He did get back on and find the tarmac. John Bowes, 888 car is in. And slight problem on the front left there, but he made it out in good time. Behind him is Rodney Forbes.
Just standing down here with Cameron McComble. Rick Kelly, a good stop from him. He gets back out of pit lane in front of John Bow and Rodney Forbes. But Cam, what went wrong for you? The stop seemed to go okay, but the car was smoking on the way down pit lane.
Yeah, when the car landed, I just had no revs, no speed. It was just missing, and I said it won't get up to 40 Ks. And then by the time I got to there, it was smoking, and I think it's dropped the cylinder. It may have actually broken something in the engine during the pit stop. Very bizarre.
So no warning or indication before you pitted?
Not at all, no. When it hit the ground, it just was misfiring all the way down, smoke getting bigger and bigger. So another mechanical thing that's cost us some points again this year.
Hard luck, Ken.
Thanks, mate.
He's 24th in the championship at the moment, coming off a 15th at Bathurst and at Indy.
Russell Engel comes in, one of the late stoppers in terms of those leading cars. We'll just see where he emerges from the pit lane too. 58.19, his fastest lap out there. He did that on lap 10. He's come in on lap 14. Back into the action. Slick stop by the Castrol team. Watch the overlap. Well, all those cars have gone through. Ambrose through. Kelly. Bright. So Engel joins behind those guys.
He's going to find a slot just in front of his team boss, Larry Perkins.
So the other cars out there yet to make their compulsory stops. Craig Lowndes is leading this one. John Faulkner's in second. Mark Larkham's in third. But those three cars are yet to make their compulsory tyre change. The head of the queue, once those three peel off, will be Mark Scaife in first. Greg Murphy in second. Ambrose in third. Kelly fourth. Bright fifth. Is a race leader.
Maximise your pit entry.
Getting all the instructions from the crew. Minimise the amount of time lost when Craig Lowndes comes in. Fastest time of 58.36, did in lap 14. So he's been operating in the low to mid 58-second bracket.
Tight line, tight line.
They've told him to maximise the pit entry. Three-time series champion pulls it into pit lane. He had some
Murphy pit, through Murphy pit.
Oh, he had some back markers to work through there, through the hairpin.
He has to drive through the Kmart Racing team pit, very tight pit lane. So there has to be cooperation amongst the teams to allow other cars to drive through their neighbouring pit lane, which they've just done. Grant?
This should be a very quick stop by Craig Lowndes, because with all the rehearsals that they do in their workshop, one of their men has their pit stop times down to just 4 seconds. But of course, you're only as fast as your slowest man. But that was a good stop by Lowndes.
Yeah, the slowest man is the weakest link in the chain, just over 8 seconds, 8.5. HRT with just under 8. And of course, the Kmart team did it just over 8, and 8.1, I think it was. So Mark Scaife's gone through. Greg Murphy's gone through. Ambrose through. Todd Kelly. Jason Bright.
He should come out in around about 9th position. Here he comes now. Brad Jones goes past. That was 8th. So,
well, the car just didn't have enough speed, did it? Obviously, when he was out there, he stayed out there to try and make up a lot of track position, but running in the low to mid 58-second bracket, that was nowhere near where he needed to be. The fastest times by those guys in front of him, a 7.7, 7.8, a 7.6. So he was about half a second off the pace where he needed to be to make up track on those guys.
Bit of maximum pressure from 0-2. Rick Kelly.
Shot out of that corner onto the back straight and really took advantage. A slow exit from Lowndes, who was on cold tyres. And you can just see the penalty you pay at the end of that straight, almost 1 kilometre in length. You get a good launch out of turn 3. You can really pounce by the time you get to the end of it. This is the battle between Todd Kelly and Jason Bright, the two TWR Australia Commodores. 5th and 6th on the track now, but that'll soon be 4th and 5th when John Faulkner peels off to make his compulsory stop. He's the last car out there and he's leading this race, but still to come into the pit lane. Look at this battle here. Jason Bright, more than a stiff down the inside, goes very deep under brakes, but not quite close enough to make a move on Kelly. And there's plenty of push and shove going on there. Just a kiss on the bumper. Make sure he knows he's there. John Faulkner leading this one. 14 seconds up the road from Mark Scaife, but as I said, he has to make his compulsory stop.
Been a good year for Todd Kelly, 5th in the championship, 2 spots behind his teammate. These guys are desperately trying to break a Holden Racing Team 1-2 finish for the season. Car number 34 had some problems. Gartander.
It's coming out of Holden hairpin and into the back straight, and he's just limping that thing along. Just make his way down to pit lane. Oh, he's got broken front suspension. Let's have a look at this on the Nintendo replay.
Straight through the corner at the S's. Let's see where he ended up there.
Well, by the looks of things.
Must have gone before that.
Watch this front right wheel. Something sent Tander off. There she goes.
Whoa, 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 Wobble City.
Well, it could be broken steering, I'd suggest.
Whoa.
Rodney Forbes into the tyres big time at the end of the back straight. Car 7, his best qualifying performance, and it's all come undone there. So the battle continues between Todd Kelly and Jason Bright. 5th and 6th on the road at the moment. Faulkner still out there. And here is Rodney Forbes in for repairs. Rusty?
Guys, as far as Garth Tander is concerned, he got on the radio around about half a lap ago and said it felt like something had broken in the steering. We saw him go off. Larry Perkins during the break has also been in. He's retired from this one, and he sounds as though he's pretty disgusted too. He's bolted out the back and won't really talk to us right now. The word from the team is they believe it's a power steering pump that's gone.
Yeah, we've heard of a number of power steering failures, particularly in the hydraulic system. And you can see here, Garth Tander is going to park it for this race. They can't obviously do a very quick repair on something like the steering in terms of safety. So Tander is out of this one. Darryl?
Garth, what's happened to the car?
Looks like it's broken a track rod or something in the steering. I just turned in for turn 2 down there and she went straight on. So limped her back to the pits, but it's too bad. We won't bother fixing it for this one.
You didn't clip anything or hit anything?
No, there was a bit of touching at the start, but the wheels are all pointing in the right direction and steering wheel was straight ahead, so that wouldn't have been a problem. So it's just given out. It's one of those things.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks.
Well, his future is secure at Gary Rogers Motorsport, but he's still waiting for his teammate to be named for next year, Garth Tander. Some question marks over whether Jason Bargwanna will stay or will he go. Lap 24 of 36. And we're in the cockpit of Craig Lowndes. In front of him is Brad Jones. And we understand that some rain is now falling out there on the circuit, some light rain.
It's the battle at the tail of the top 10. Brad Jones in the Aussie Mail Ford and the 00 car of Craig Lowndes climbing all over the back of him. They come up toward Ford Mountain. And that is the graphic indication of how hard the suspension works through that part of the track. 200 kilometres an hour. The car's carrying enormous speed. They tend to get spat out the other side. They go right over the white line, some of them. Really is heart-in-the-mouth stuff. Deceptively fast circuit, 2.8 kilometres. But when you get down at track level and you watch these cars go around in the practice sessions, you really can see how hard these cars are working. And the drivers, of course. So the order, Faulkner's still leading this one. 8 seconds in front of Scaife, but he's still to make his compulsory stop. So Scaife, Murphy, Ambrose, Kelly, Bright, Stephen Richards, and Bright has got Todd Kelly. He's been attacking lap after lap. Finally found a gap. Kelly's fighting back on the inside, gets good drive out of the Holden hairpin, but Bright's got him.
A lot of the teams will be looking for sort of, I guess, some advice from locals here at the track about the weather conditions. We are getting some very minor spits here in pit lane, and the word is it's the same going down the back straight at the moment. Another thing too, guys, Stephen Ellery at both the race start and during his pit stop has noticed a bit of play in the clutch. It's taking up okay, but he wants the team to keep an eye on it and maybe look at it for tomorrow's races.
Race leader John Faulkner is getting close to the end of the compulsory tyre change window. It was lap 2 to lap 26. So he's going to have to come in very shortly if he's not going to cop a stop-go penalty. And that will move Mark Scaife up into the race lead.
Jason Bright, 29-year-old, put the move on Todd Kelly, applied a bit of pressure for about 3 laps and then finally got him. But his teammate Mark Scaife has a fair bit of road in between him and our nearest car, which will be Greg Murphy.
Breathe, Mark. 10 laps to go, mate.
So they're still telling him to breathe and make sure that he concentrates on the job around turn 1. That's about 250 Ks, that turn, through the Boost Mobile S's, the one that caught so many out throughout qualifying. Around the bottom, that takes you onto the back straight. Race course on the inside, the horse racing course.
As Mark Scaife head towards another victory, there's a comparison of the last 5 laps, and you can see Mark Scaife has been consistently faster. The red means the car at the bottom of the screen has been slower on that lap. If it's a green box, they've been faster on that lap, and you can see there, right across the board, a clean sweep. 0.2 of a second, 0.3 of a second. So he is monstering this field. Mark Scaife, 4.4 seconds, the lead over Greg Murphy, who does not have an answer for the red machine. The beaten and battered Rodney Forbes Falcon just gets lapped there. It's a great shot from on board the Kmart Commodore. Just an indication of the growing dominance of the TWR Australia Commodores. at the moment in the championship, it's Scaife first, Bright second, Murphy third, Richards is in there fourth, Kelly's fifth. Now, judging by the way Todd Kelly's performing today, a good strong points haul ahead of Stephen Richards. You really can see that they're aiming to have 4 TWR Australia Commodores take the top 4 positions in the championship. And one thing HRT have never done is a 1-2, and they're staring down the barrel of that as well. So they really are becoming the dominant force in V8 supercar racing. They've won 82% of the races this year, taken almost 60% of all available podium positions, really putting their stamp of dominance on V8 supercar. Marcus Ambrose in third.
He's been chipping away, hasn't he, throughout this season, Marcus Ambrose and Stone Brothers Racing. They refuse to lose focus on what they've been trying to do, which is just peck away at that HRT dominance that Mark was talking about. Ambrose 6th in the championship. He's leading the Ford fight, and he's getting a bit of pressure on him overall from Craig Lowndes, who is now 7th. Look at the dust fly out the back of the PIRTEK. Grant Denyer?
Yeah, well, you just saw Jason Bright slide up a few more positions there a few moments ago, and really he's been helped along by the fastest pit stop of the lot here today. He was recorded at about a 7.6 pit stop, which was the best. Really 8's are the norm nowadays. Ambrose, Ingle and Lowndes all doing 8-second pit stops.
On board with Marcus Ambrose above the windscreen of the PIRTEK Falcon. Chasing hard. This Rodney Forbes lapped Falcon in front of him. The car he's zeroing in on is Greg Murphy in second. And these positions have settled down fairly much. Mark Scaife 4.9, so he's pumped it out from 4.4, just building about 2 or 3 tenths of a second on Greg Murphy and showing the car 51. He is well and truly in control of this race. So there's a comparison of the last 5 laps between third-placed Ambrose and race leader Scaife. And once again, you can see some dominance there. 3 tenths of a second, almost 4 tenths of a second on lap 25. So he's got it by the neck.
He's pulling away, and these guys are continuing to hold on to their top 10 position. So this is Jones in 8th versus Lowndes in 9th. Lowndes has really been enforcing total pressure over Brad Jones. Look at him, he's in both mirrors. He refuses to let him go, and a simple mistake will see the 00 car zip by, but Jones has already shown down the back straight that he's got plenty of speed to match the Falcon behind him. 5 laps to go. That's the word you're looking at. 8 and 9 on the track through turn 1. Now this is the S's.
Quite interesting, that previous lap where Brad Jones got monstered, and then he was able to fight back along the straight, held him for 2/3 the distance, then Lowndes attacked under brakes. So these 2 cars very evenly matched. You see Lowndes there just trying to use the aerodynamic draft of the car in front to pull him along the straight, find a bit of extra speed and attack under brakes, but there's no opportunity there. Enormous brake temperatures as they drag the cars back from about 265, 270 kilometres an hour down to about 50 k's for the hairpin. And then it's back on the gas again, up through the gears, through here. 200 kilometres an hour, just a touch of the brakes from Brad Jones to settle the car before he turns right. And out over the white line once again.
Keep the pressure on.
There's an extraordinary amount of dips and bumps in this circuit at the end of these incredibly fast, long straights. There's one there as they come into turn 1, and the front of the car noses down and then kicks back up like you're riding a horse. That's going full tilt. Look at him go. These guys are putting on a great show. Glenn Seaton has gone off-road. That's at the hairpin. So car number 5 is not having a great one. Mark Scaife, by the way, continues to lead out the front. He's got a 5.5 second gap now over Greg Murphy. Marcus Ambrose is in third. A big slip up from Brad Jones, but not enough for Lowndes to pounce.
You can see Brad's on a knife's edge there. He went really deep under brakes, almost overcooked it, managed to gather it up. So this is maximum pressure driving from Craig Lowndes. The car leaning and lurching and jumping as it comes through, up through Ford Mountain, driving its wheels off. And you can hear from the crew, keep the pressure on, Craig, keep the pressure on.
Craig Lowndes coming off a second at our last round overall. He was tied with points with Jason Barkwana. Has he got him here? Well, Jones tries to shut the door, but not this time. Lowndes finally got him. Down the back straight they go.
Make sure you cover your line.
He's had 6 out of 11 top 10 finishes, Craig Lowndes, and he wanted to keep hold of another one, so he's now moved up to 8th and told to cover his line. Here's Jones. Has a look on the left-hand side, coming into the hairpin.
Well, you can see that Jones' car has good horsepower, particularly top end, and their cars get up into 6th gear and they're really starting to push. That Aussie Male car starts to close the gap. Now through this section, hoiks the inside wheel up in the air.
Isn't it funny when you watch two cars go hard at it like this? This is an incident involving Glenn Seaton. So John Faulkner went through and Seaton just completely missed that one. Cameron McLean goes past. Mark Larkham goes past. And so too does Mark Scaife. So that was right down the end of the field. Now this is how Craig Lowndes got hold of Brad Jones. A simple error at turn 3, the exit of the S's.
See, it just takes a fraction of a second beyond the brake. The car gets a little bit out of shape, and that's all Lowndes needed. Took the opportunity. Now Jones falls into the clutches of Russell Ingall. So Brad apparently has had another moment since Lowndes got past. You can see there, he's left him standing, so he's struggling here.
Well, you always watch those two cars that are fighting, and then someone will join the freight train at the end, and that man this time is Russell Ingall, the enforcer. Does he give him a tap to get him out of the way? Only centimetres in it. This is the final lap.
Scaife's lap times have pumped out a 59.9. 59.0 for Murphy. Had a slow lap that time. Scaife must have hit traffic.
Yeah,
57.4 was his fastest time. But judging by these laps in the mid to high 58s, the race pace starting to slacken.
These guys have got one more to go, and out in front, Mark Scaife. Greg Murphy has caught up a touch, about half a second, but in the meantime, Brad Jones has got a battle at the back of the top 10. Scaife has shot away once more. Last year, it was 3 out of 3 for Greg Murphy, and the Kiwis went crazy. They don't mind this man either. Mark Scaife brings it around turn 7, and for the 15th time this season, Mark Scaife wins a race in the V8 Supercar Championship and gets a stranglehold on another round win. Greg Murphy, though, will refuse to let that go. There's still 2 more races to come. Scaife finishes first, Murphy second, Marcus Ambrose third, Jason Bright in 4th, and Todd Kelly in 5th. Stephen Richards in 6th. Rick Kelly comes across in 7th. And as Scaife gets the accolades, the battle between 8, 9 and 10, which was Lowndes, Jones, and then ultimately Ingall, has ended that way. Craig Lowndes in 8th. Brad Jones held on for a top 10 performance, and Russell Ingall climbed up into 10th position. Mark Scaife brings it around now and celebrates yet another race win. 15 out of 25 race wins. You can make that for this man who has just notched up the numbers like never before. He's already got his 5th overall series in the bag. He's got another race win, and he's now staring down another round win. But remember, like I said, 2 long races to come tomorrow afternoon. So Mark Scaife goes from pole straight to the top of the podium. Scaife, Murphy and Ambrose is how they finished in race 1. Then it was Bright, Todd Kelly. The good movers out of that, Rick Kelly and Craig Lowndes. A great effort, only 2 Fords in that top 8. Brad Jones held on to his top 10 finish. Max Wilson in 11th, David Bernard down there in 13th, and Jason Richards rounds out our top 16. What an effort. 2 long races to go, though. There's more to come from Pukekohe.